Good morning, Gameweek 17 is with us. We've had one match so far, and of course that involved Forest and Spurs. Not going to talk about the Forest situation. They continue to be a no-go from FPL perspective, and yeah, forgive me if I don't go into them. But Spurs very much on the radar. Porro came out with 8 points last night. It was probably the standout. That's his biggest return of the season, and his XGI non-penalty over the last 6 game weeks, 3.21. Not only top for defenders, that's top for Spurs over that period as well, which is pretty surprising. So he remains a player that I really want to get in. A big target, of course, for the funds that we free up from the Salah and Son sales over AFCON and the Asian Cup. Talking of Son, he was all right. He was quite quiet. He had, I think, 4 shots, 1 chance created, around 0.4 XGI. Nothing major from Son. He had an early chance, which he could have done better with. So playing out on the left again with Richarlison down the middle, I'm still undecided what that does to his potential from FPL perspective. Richarlison only had the 1 shot on target, which was the goal, of course. And he does look at the moment like he's got that start down the middle with Son going to play wide. Although I've got a feeling from what Ange has said so far, it could be dependent on the opposition and the match state. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But Son at the moment is a sale for the Asia Cup for me. Elsewhere, I guess the standout was Kulusevski. Not someone who's really come to mind yet as an FPL asset, but his last 2 outings have been his best for XGI non-penalty of the season, so definitely one to keep an eye on. Burnley versus Everton. Been looking forward to this, let's go. There we go. Truffle-tastic, just like I said.
Yeah, we should buy one and send them to his house.
Black.
We should just buy like all of them.
No, Black Bomber, can't go wrong with that. As he has his season gradually climbing the table. So a really tough day in the Premier League. Shocking scenes at the Bournemouth-Luton game, obviously with Tom Lockyer's collapse. The good news is he responded to treatment. Excellent work by the medical staff, of course, and he's stable in hospital overnight. So that's the good news of an awful day. The match was abandoned at 1-1. Solanke and Adebayo with the goals. Premier League at the time of recording haven't announced what's going to happen with that game, with the result. I imagine it's going to get replayed. And so while the points are in the FPL at the moment, I imagine what we'll see is they'll be removed and the match will be void, and our auto subs for game week 17 will kick in for any players that we had in the game, but we'll see. I'll update you on that probably tomorrow. They're waiting for an appropriate time to announce what they're going to do. So of the matches that were complete, there were 4 games complete in the Premier League. City, again, struggling. 1 win in 6 for Pep's side now, and from an FPL perspective, the 2-2 draw just kind of confirmed that, well, it's 1 clean sheet and 11 now for that City defence. We're just not going there, and bizarrely with Haaland out, I'm not even sure we're going to look at their attack at the moment. Grealish scored for the 3rd game running, but him and Foden only had 1 shot each. In a double game week, which we think is coming, we'd look at them, I guess, but at the moment, it's such a bizarre situation that we haven't got any City players in our team. Obviously, we will rush back to Haaland, but there will be concerns. And there might even be a few questions about whether that is the right thing to do. Obviously, with a double game week it is, but at the moment, City are far from firing on all cylinders, and the defence and the attack aren't really tempting us. Everton at Burnley, really impressive again. Dyche really has sorted them out, hasn't he? I mean, they're, even with the points penalty, they're pulling clear, which is obviously not good news as a Forest fan. But credit to Everton, did enough, played well again, exploited Burnley at set pieces. With the 2-0 were both goals really, the set piece plays. They had to change their system. Mikalenko's got an injury now and Brainfreight was suspended. So they went to 5 at the back, wing backs, with O'Neill playing one side and Patterson the other, and it worked really well. O'Neill got an assist in the game, and overall Everton, that's their 4th clean sheet in a row. And if you look at Pickford, since I sold him in game week 8, I think he's got 51 points, and obviously that's more than any other keeper in that spell. And I got him out for Areola, who got 13, I think, in the same period. So that just shows you we dismiss the goalkeeper as a position that we don't want to make transfers in, and it's not a key position. But look at the difference, look at the swing there. And obviously it's painful for people like me who had Pickford up to game week 8. Newcastle, another win for them at home at St James's Park, made easier by a ridiculous Jimenez challenge and sending off, frustrating his new owners, no doubt. He had 3 goals in 2, then he goes and gets banned for 3 matches. So frustrating for Marco Silva, I'm sure. Not for Newcastle defenders and owners of Newcastle defenders, apart from Fabian Schär owners, of course, who saw their man go off early with a nasty hamstring. That could be good news for Lascelles owners. They saw Botman return and he came on late on, but with Schär out, Lascelles should be okay for start, certainly in crucial game week 18 in the blank against Luton. Gordon, though, is the player to pick out from this game. He was unlucky just to come out with the assist, denied by the woodwork, denied by a Leno save. 68 points in home games now. Only Salah can match that this season. 10 returns in 9 starts at St James's Park. Hasn't blanked at all. Well, he could be rotated, but now Barnes has got a toe injury. Isak's not fully fit. So for the moment, Gordon looks nailed on. He might get a rest, but he looks so integral to Newcastle's attack that, like another midfielder we're going to touch on in a second, looks a bit of a no-brainer, doesn't he? Yeah, that other midfielder is, of course, Cole Palmer. Unbelievable. 14-point return. It should have been 17, really, because Broja missed a sitter from a Palmer assist. He's been absolutely incredible since he came into the side. 69 points, I think it is. Second only to Son and Salah for midfielders in that period. Second only to Mbeumo for shots. I think 28 shots he's had since his first start. The price we're getting him at, I mean, if you have resisted going there to this point, yesterday's display surely convinced you've got to move. Don't be too stubborn. I was like this. I remember going back quite a while now, to be honest, to the season where I didn't get Aaron Ramsey for the same reason. I just thought he couldn't continue. But Palmer's so integral to that Chelsea team. 1.97, I think his XGI was yesterday. Incredible. And epitomised by one moment where he beat 2 players, won a free kick on the edge of the box, then took the free kick himself, had a shot on goal. He's just involved in everything Chelsea do. He is that Chelsea attack. Yes, he's on 4 cards, but I think you have to swallow that and chance the suspension, which will likely come. He may also get a rest at some point, but at the price he comes at, the numbers and the eye test that he's producing, Cole Palmer's a must-have. It's Monday morning. Still no word from the Premier League yet on the Bournemouth-Luton situation. Might be that this video comes out before that's even concluded. We'll have to see. Let's talk about Sunday's games instead. League leaders Arsenal, first of all. Routine 2-0 win, I think it's fair to say, over Brighton. Saka assist, let's talk about that. He did get it, then it got taken off him. I think I know what happened there. And I think it's fairly justified. I've got to say that from corners, the intended destination, intended target thing is a lot more lenient, because obviously with a crowded goal mouth you can't figure out who the intended target is. So you go on intended destination. And in the case of this one, I think the flick on from Van Heck, which is the defender touch, rightly changes the intended destination. For me, that corner's aimed either at the near post or centre of the 6-yard box. It obviously ends up at the end, at the far post, before Jesus heads it home, and therefore no assist. I think that's about right. I agree with that one, to be honest. So a blank for Saka. I think only his 4th of the season, I want to say. Saka and Salah both blanked. I think they're 4th for the season. So where does that leave us on Saka now? A lot of people talking about, well, is it time to sell? I don't think so. Not with AFCON coming around the corner and Son and Salah on their way, perhaps both of them from our teams. More on that later. But I think Saka also, there's some factors here. 0.89 non-penalty XGI from that game. He had 4 shots all in the box in that game, as well as 3 chances created. But the 4 shots is significant because that's the most he's had in a single match this season. So the data doesn't suggest that he's becoming less peripheral and not being a factor. It did for a while, but I would sit tight on Saka myself, particularly with the AFCON factor as well. West Ham, 3-0 win for them. Kudos with 2 of the goals. Bowen with his 10th goal of the season, adding the 3rd late on. Paqueta with 3 assists. I think they've got too many options here. Paqueta, Kudos, Bowen, where do we go? I think at the moment I would still favour Bowen. I still think when you do the compare to him and Kudos over the season data, he looks the stronger of the 2. The big factor, of course, is Kudos goes to AFCON from game week 21 onwards for, we don't know how long, could be 3 or 4 game weeks. So that's got to be a factor in all our transfers at the moment when looking at players in and out. But no question, the Kudos when he's back, or even before if you want to take the risk, if you can manage it in your squad, he's looking outstanding. If you go back to his first start in game week 10 and you look at the data, only Salah has scored more points. Salah's scored 55 since game week 10, Kudos 52. That's amongst midfielders. So absolutely outstanding. I think it's 4 goals, 3 assists, 8 bonus for Kudos in that time. Only owned by 4.3% of the game. He's been involved in 57% of West Ham's goals when on the pitch. So that is stronger than Bowen, but I still, because Bowen's down the middle, because Bowen's level of finishing, for me he's the most assured asset of the 2, particularly at the moment of AFCON. So in terms of replacements during AFCON, it's got to be Bowen with Kudos missing, of course. Another win for Villa, another goal for Watkins. Painful as someone who sold Watkins for Darwin. I have got him back. I made the transfer early, Haaland out for Watkins ahead of game week 18. Obviously Watkins has got Sheffield United. He's a captaincy candidate, so I made the transfer early to make sure I caught the price changes. I think he's gone up twice since I bought him, so I got 0-1 straight away. I'm going to have to hold him, I think. I don't think that he's a player that I can sell from now on because it was such a mistake going to Darwin. So if I get Haaland back, which I'm sure I will, Darwin's got to be the one I sell, and I've got to find the money to do that. The game itself was, obviously it turned on the Ben Mee red card. And also the introduction of Bailey. I've got Bailey, of course. Disappointed to see him not in the starting lineup, but I think there's still some doubts on a little bit of a knock he got and a bit of fatigue as well. But he came on and changed the game. He got the assist, a very smart assist from Moreno's goal, and just gave Brentford more to think about. Diaby disappointing again. And Bailey, when on the pitch, has been involved in 59% of Villa's goals in FPL. So for me, he's got to start, surely, on Friday against Sheffield United, when I'll have Watkins captain and Bailey as a differential, and Villa have got the chance to go top, and I think there's every chance they will. They've got some injury problems to carry over. Pau picked up a knock, Pau Torres picked up a knock, so he may miss out. So if you're thinking of getting a Villa defender for that game, it's probably going to be Konsa now. And also Kamara was suspended because he got the red card, of course. So that might mean that Cash is not going to start and Konsa will play fullback. So for me, if you were going Pau Torres, see how his fitness is, but probably Konsa's a good replacement. So finally the game of the day that never was, the 0-0 at Anfield, really drab. Credit to United for really quelling that threat from the home side. Liverpool were disappointing though. Salah was our captain, for many of us anyway. First blank at Anfield this season, only his 4th for the season. Got the clean sheet point, but that's about it. Pretty disappointing in him. Trent was the maximum bonus, and I mean he's starting to terrify me now. If you look at the data, 6 chances created and 4 shots. He's just been a monster recently. And if you go back and look at the last 6 game weeks data, he scored 53 points to Salah's 45. So there's an argument to say that he's the Liverpool asset to own over Salah even. So More on that when it comes to my AFCON strategy. Elsewhere, a 6 clean sheet for Liverpool defence. Simicast doing well. He's been a great asset for me. Only Van Dijk, Mikalenko and Trent have outscored him since he came into the side for Robertson. So that's been a good move. Darwin though, absolute disaster. Just a 1 point. 3 bookings in the last 5 he's got now on 4 bookings for the season. Well, it's been a disaster. Getting him in for Watkins was obviously a mistake. I can't talk our way around it, and I don't know where we go with him now as a fancy asset. I can't see me going back to him. I'm going to have to hold him for now. I'll probably take him into 18. They play Arsenal at home. I think I'm going to bench him. So to round up then, how am I going to get Haaland back and when do I do it? Is the question I'm thinking about at the moment, and I guess it's got to coincide with our plans for AFCON with Son and Salah. I've got Son and Salah, so it makes sense that I pair the two up. Because for me, there's no hurry to get back to Haaland for 19. First of all, he might not be fully fit. We've got to see if he plays over in Saudi. Secondly, he goes to Everton game week 19. Everton, who are the 3rd best defence currently for non-penalty XG over the season. So they're not a side I expect City to go and score 2 or 3 goals against and Haaland to have too much joy. So I'd be okay not having Haaland for 19. But in 20, of course, he plays Sheffield United at home, and that could be part of a double with Brentford at home as well. Not confirmed as yet, but even Sheffield United at home, I'm going to want him for that. So he has to come back game week 20. Then by the time you get to game week 20, you've got to be looking to sell one of Son or Salah in my position, I think, because they go missing from 21. So it's whether I lose Son at home to Bournemouth or Salah at home to Newcastle, and obviously the latter looks more appealing. And as of last night, I would lose as much on the Salah deal, 0.3, as I would on Son, because Son went up. So I'm losing 0.3 on both. So if I'm only selling one, I'm now edging towards Salah, selling him for game week 20 to get the money to do Darwin to Haaland, of course, because it's Darwin I want to get rid of, not Watkins or Solanke. I want to carry in a front three going forward of Solanke, Watkins and Haaland. I think that's the optimum front three. So Darwin goes, Salah goes, game week 20, both out. They've got Newcastle at home. Obviously that's a tough game. I'll be okay with that. Means I carry Son. I've got a bench to absorb it, so that's good because I've got active subs. So I think at the moment that's my strategy for getting Haaland back. And then in terms of replacements for Salah, obviously Haaland comes in for Darwin. At the moment I'm favouring Bowen because I quite like the cluster of fixtures that West Ham have over that period. I could also consider Richarlison, of course. He's going to be a popular buy. And then there's other players come into the equation, or maybe Odegaard, as I mentioned earlier. But for me it's currently Bowen, but we'll see how it goes. So that's about it for this video. As I sit here now on Monday, there's still no update from the Premier League. So it could be that this video goes out without news of what's happening there. And then we comment on that in Black Box. I'll be back on Wednesday, full Black Box, with Az, I think. I think Az is available. So we'll see you then. I hope you enjoyed this latest video of mine. Like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you on Wednesday or next time.